sports-loving ladies, Mia O'Brien, Lauren Brooks, and Taylor Dahl.
This is Helmets and Heels
On 1010XL, switched on by First Coast Lighting and Fans. Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor.
Show me what you got, pretty lady.
Well, we've made it to a Thursday. A week ago, we had the NFL schedule release. Today, we have NFL talk.
we have
Nothing nearly as exciting. But, of course, we love talking football. So that's what we are going to do. I have a question, and Taylor, you found this article on PFF that selected the best 3 players from every team. I think if we asked that question to maybe 15 people, we would get 15 different answers as far as who are the best 3 players on the Jaguars. Mm-hmm. I do think most people would say Trevor Lawrence and Josh Allen. Now, we understand we've had, I feel like, hundreds of hours of conversations to this point about Trevor Lawrence and whether or not he should be paid and all that. That's not part of the topic. Trevor Lawrence, as the quarterback, is one of the best players on the team. Josh Allen, as now defensive end, is one of the best players on the team.
And even if your quarterback is maybe not your best player, they still have to be probably one of the ones that you're counting on the most to be successful.
I think that's a great point. Exactly.
I think that's pretty much across the board in the National
like
Football League. The odds are good that on this PFF list,
there's
going to be a quarterback for each of the 32 teams, and there's probably going to be a de facto pass rusher.
And that's why, and this has nothing to do with the Jaguars, but that's why the Falcons, in my opinion, went ahead and took a quarterback 8th in Michael Penix, even though they had Kirk Cousins and they paid him a lot of money. Because if Kirk Cousins isn't the best player on your team this upcoming season, you're not going to be very successful, because look at how they went a season ago, and so they doubled down. You can talk all about the financial element and whether or not that's smart, but we all know the quarterback is the most important position, and look at what the 49ers have done in order to get to Brock Purdy. They went in a roundabout, circuitous way, but they still landed on Brock Purdy being one of the best players on their team. Because like you said, the franchise starts with the quarterback.
Because I'm not sure, this is obviously a little bit off, like same topic, but backtracking a second. If you go to the New York Giants 2 seasons ago and they had that little stint of, actually where they're like, okay, is this the beginning of what Daniel Jones can be? He wasn't that good of a quarterback. I don't know if you would list him as one of the top 3 players, but they had a pretty successful season, and then you saw last year that kind of all fall back down to earth.
And as we go through this exercise, and again, this is a PFF article that we're going to examine for all 32 teams, correct, Taylor?
Yes.
All 32 teams, the top 3 players. When we pitched this topic in our production group chat, I stressed, and I actually had this conversation with a coach earlier this week, there is a difference between being a top 3 best player on a team and a top 3 most important player on a team. I think you can make the argument, which we will, in the case of the Jacksonville Jaguars, you could say that for this upcoming season, Mitch Morse may be in your top 3 of most important players. Is he one of the 3 best players on your team, though? Perhaps not. And so that's where I think this exercise will be a lot of fun for you Heeligans to get involved in, 641-1010, as well as on the MyBookie Digital Studio chat line. And I'm excited to discuss it with you ladies here today.
Yeah, so the question is, after we're going to assume and we're going to proclaim that Trevor Lawrence and Josh Allen are your top 2 players as far as best players on this team. So who is your 3rd best player? I'm going to ask y'all. We're obviously, like you said, asking the listeners to weigh in as well. This is who PFF says their 3rd best player is, and I would not have thought they would have picked this player because of the trend in the NFL to go away from running backs. So spoiler alert, they picked Travis Etienne.
And here's the funny part, Lauren. I had a conversation, like I said earlier this week, and in that conversation I said Travis Etienne is a top 3 player on this team. And that was before.
So PFF must have been listening in on your conversation.
This was before this PFF article came out. And by the way, it was in the context of Travis Etienne, top 3 player on the Jaguars. You could make the argument in terms of football player, a football player. He is a top 3 player at the running back position. But this person said, can you make the argument that he's not one of the top 10 best running backs? You get what I'm putting out there, right?
Yeah.
So, great football player, can do a whole heck of a lot of different things, but maybe as a running back, he's not a top 5 running back, but as a football player, among that whole group of running backs or among the entire 91 players on the Jaguars roster, he is top 3. It's a very weird situation that you couple, Lauren, with the point you made about running backs and the value of them have been devalued over the past few years.
Yeah, certainly financially they have been, but I think as far as schemes go too, Taylor, the running back is no longer as featured as it once was.
Yeah, and you see certain teams that still try to hold on to it a little bit of that traditional running back. We're seeing kind of this running back morph in a guy like Christian McCaffrey. The reason we talk about Christian McCaffrey so much, yes, his ability to actually run the football, but everything else he can do in the realm, in the world of blocking and catching passes and running the ball, every piece of the offense he can be involved in. And I feel like, to Mia's point, that's something that people believe Travis Etienne can do too, which is why I think a majority of people would have him as that top 3.
And it's because, and again, this is where we're talking football player, not necessarily the running back position. Because I had somebody else tell me that they believe, I'm going to put it out into the universe, I know those of you watching are going to lose your minds, could Tank Bigsby be a better running back than Travis Etienne, but not a better football player?
I don't know that you would ever put Tank Bigsby as better even as a running back than Etienne, because I think what goes into being a really good running back is not just the downhill running. Like Bigsby, I think eventually can be a really good downhill runner, but there's more of like seeing the gaps, right?
Yeah.
The vision that Fred Taylor had. You've got also, like, to Taylor's point about Christian McCaffrey, you've got the pass catching. Bigsby also hasn't understood the full situational awareness as far as the NFL, the rules and things like that. He had the fumble issue, although Etienne
And again, that
struggled with
speaks
fumbles early.
to
But maybe
football
we'll see
player.
more this year that then I'll say, oh no, Bigsby did find the hole better than Etienne. And I do think Travis Etienne struggled last season in not finding the gaps. Now, some people would say there were no gaps, but
Some
at
people would
times-
also say he was hurt.
Yeah, and so at times I do think he missed some stuff. Yes, he struggled with an injury. They overworked him too, and so are we seeing his full potential if they are able to give the ball to someone else at times? But so Mia, your third best player is Travis
Oh yeah,
Etienne.
it's Travis Etienne.
So
Hers
you and
is
PFF
Tank
agree.
Bigsby.
Yeah.
Right. Well, let me frame it a different way.
Social media would
I
lose
know.
its mind.
Taylor was in the office. I was on air with a Fort Myers station doing a call-in this morning, and they asked about, Tank getting more carries, and I'm like, I did not expect that tweet to go viral and to people to once again have this massive debate about Tank carries, Travis Etienne carries. Look, I will raise my hand. I was one of the nerds for you fantasy football owners out there that had to go out and speak it into the universe that it would be a 60-40 split, and then obviously it was not. I'm sorry. From everything I was told and watched in training camp, I thought it would be. I had no idea Press Taylor was going to put him in the doghouse. Whoops, sorry. But let me frame it a different way for you then. James Robinson, obviously, in terms of sheer athleticism, not as elite an athlete, as elite a quote-unquote football player per se,
Right.
as Travis Etienne.
That's why he didn't get drafted.
But I can tell you this, there's multiple people who were here in 2022 that would have told you, and granted, that was Travis's first full year on the field in the NFL, multiple people who would tell you James Robinson was the better running back. Travis Etienne, more elite player, but in terms of the running back position and understanding blocking schemes, understanding where the hole is, understanding what his role is in the offense, understanding pass protection, James Robinson was better.
Interesting. I mean, he certainly had more experience, and that can lead to that because, like you said, that was Etienne's first year after having the injury, the Liz Frank injury. But I think Etienne is going to be featured again this season.
Oh, and that's not to say, by the way, because again, I think Travis is a top 3 player on this team. I'm not saying he's not good. I think he's a top 3 running back in the National Football League right now when the Jaguars are allowing his skill set to be on full display, when he is like Christian McCaffrey, being used to establish the run, but also being used as a gadget player, but also being used like he was against the Pittsburgh Steelers on the wheel route down the sideline to catch a touchdown and in the passing game.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm not saying he's not an elite player. If anything, I'm just saying it's fascinating because we're talking best player.
Yeah.
And could one of the top 3 best players not actually be that great at their actual position?
Well, and I think that conversation goes to what we were just saying as the evolution of what a running back has changed is the difference. And I think that 10, 15 years ago, he wouldn't be considered one of those because they were just more so the ground and pound type of running back, and that's what you pictured. But now they've realized that has kind of that's kind of faded away a little bit because of the way that has formed into such a passing league, and everybody wants the quarterbacks that can throw 70 yards down the field, and you want a running back who can do a little bit of everything. But to your point, Lauren, when you're talking about a guy like Etienne, I think there's multiple facets of being a good running back. When you just mentioned the vision and being able to find those open spaces in between the defensive linemen, but also yards after contact. And Etienne has led the last couple of seasons, has been atop of that too when you look at those numbers for him too. So he checks off all of the boxes of what you want a running back to be. Maybe he's just not that one, like you said, the downhill, just bowling ball run guys over right away.
Right. And hopefully the offensive line creates more spaces, wide open spaces this upcoming season. And Etienne has more of a season where he doesn't have to carry the ball as much, but he's able to have better yards per carry. All right, Taylor, I'm going to guess yours is not Travis Etienne.
It's honestly really hard. I kept going back and forth because I was going through the roster in my head, and I would be like, okay, maybe this person, but then I'd find a reason of why it wasn't that person. And I went through Christian Kirk, I went through Evan Ingram and Eric Armstead, some of these guys, and I kept honestly going back to Etienne because I was like, I'm not totally sure. I want to say Christian Kirk because you want your wide receivers to probably be a lot of people want their wide receivers, especially if your quarterback's that guy and you're counting on your offense to score a ton of points, to be one of those people who are one of the best players on the team. But I think I'm going to lead Eric Armstead just because, and we haven't even seen him obviously here in Jacksonville, but we've seen a lot of Eric Armstead in San Francisco, and we've seen, I think, a lot of, as we're talking about the pieces that go into being one of the greater players, and his experience, I think, is a huge one. And experience deep in playoff runs and in the Super Bowl and in different types of defensive schemes and with different guys surrounding him on the defense, and you've always seen him perform at a pretty high level. And although it's maybe not the sack numbers last season that you want to see from him, there's so many other things that he does on that defensive line that creates opportunities for other guys to get pressures and other guys to get sacks. And I think that's something that we are going to see this year be so beneficial when it comes to this defensive line. And when you talk about guys like Devon Hamilton and where him being healthy and coming back and being the Devon we knew before, I think this defensive line has the opportunity to be one of the better ones in the league if Devon returns to healthy and Eric's what we've seen in the past.
And they have depth behind them.
Exactly.
And look, I understand Jordan Jefferson is a rookie and Mason Smith is a rookie, and not much is going to be asked of them. But akin to why Tank Bigsby was drafted last year, it's because, and this is part of why I banged the table and yelled that they needed more depth at edge last year, and a lot of people are still yelling about it, it's not sustainable for Josh Allen and Trayvon Walker to play 85% of the snaps, just like it's not sustainable for Travis Etienne to have 85 to 90% of the snaps, akin to what happened to James Robinson, who saw 90% of the snaps in 2020 and 2021, and look how that turned out.
Yeah.
And so,
especially when you're forcing them up the middle when they have like broken ribs or whatever Etienne
Well, and
ended up
Robinson
having.
had bad knees dating back
Correct.
to college, and he was overused in college too. So certainly that makes sense, and you hope that you're
The
not
tread
getting,
on the tire
Yeah, you hope
thing.
you're not getting extra wear and tear on Etienne.
Yeah.
Every season, and just like most teams do, use them up and spit them out and move on. But yeah, I think Eric Armstead is a massive addition for this team. And I think a year from now, if we're saying that Eric Armstead was one of the best three players on this team, then we're saying that the Jaguars' defense had incredible improvement, and maybe we're in the top 5 in sacks. Because if Eric Armstead is getting close to double-digit sacks as an interior pass rusher, then holy cow, look out, because he is going to free up Josh Allen and Trayvon Walker, and then maybe Travis Gibson too, and Miles Colt. We'll see at that point. But
And
Eric
how much
Armstead
that
could
helps
be
the
huge.
secondary too, and that's something
Correct.
that's underrated sometimes, of that the interior pass rush or just pass rush in general, when you're creating pressures and you're making these opposing quarterbacks force some throws that maybe last year they got to just kind of chill back there and go through all of their progressions in 4 seconds rather than making them decide in under 2 seconds. And that helps the secondary because now these guys are getting throws that are kind of forced and like pushed into zones maybe they didn't want it to be pushed into. And what we're expecting the secondary to also under Ryan Nielsen be an improvement, that adds to all levels of the defense.
And Ryan Nielsen's area of expertise is the defensive front.
Yeah.
And I think that's his thought. Nothing cheap, nothing deep. Part of how you prevent nothing cheap and nothing deep is if you can get pressure right within the first 4 seconds of the drop back. And that's what I think you're going to see, an emphasis on that pressure that in turn helps the back end. I agree with Eric Armstead in terms of, again, we're talking top 3 best players on the roster. If we're talking resume in terms of skins on the wall, undoubtedly he has to be in terms of accomplishments. And I understand, well, has he made Pro Bowls and this, that, and the other? But in terms of going to 2 Super Bowls, being a part of a San Francisco team that has been a Super Bowl contender for the better part of the last 5 years, yes, Armstead is right there. In the same vein, and I see a couple of you who've submitted the name Evan Ingram, and we just kind of referenced him here.
By the way, Armstead 10 sacks in 2019. So as far as like adding to the total sack number, now again, that was 4 years ago, but still, if he could do something like that, that's incredible.
And that was a year that they made the Super Bowl. Evan Ingram has made multiple Pro Bowls now. And so could you make the argument that he should be considered in this conversation? If, again, we're going best resume, overall body of work.
Yeah, and I think best is different for every person because best could be the most speed on the team. So someone might say Brian Thomas Jr., even though he's a rookie, so that's why most people wouldn't put him in that category, but he runs a 4.33. He's one of the fastest guys on the field. If he and Trevor form a connection a year from now, again, if we're talking about Brian Thomas Jr. as being one of the best 3 players on this team, holy cow, look out for the offense.
Well, and Mia, to your point, going back to when we were talking about Travis Etienne, and maybe like when you're talking about best player, best athlete compared to best at like maybe running back, and you're saying maybe he's could possibly, not saying he is not, but be not the best full-on typical running back.
Right.
We can kind of say that for Evan Ingram, too, because Evan Ingram does a lot of really good things, and obviously the drops have been an issue in his career, but aside from that, he's been able to get a consistent amount of receptions and touchdowns, and everything has kind of increased throughout his time in the NFL, and especially since he's been here in Jacksonville. But he's not that tight end that's going to add in the blocking side of things. He's not that tight end that's more of the physical tight end that you see in a Travis Kelce or a George Kittle or some of these other guys. He's more of a receiving tight end, and we've seen that a lot. So then some people may make that their argument, but others may be like, well, he's still adding to that tight end room and, obviously getting scores, and he's kind of been definitely a main weapon for Trevor Lawrence. So that's why he was on my okay, let me go through these 5-6 players and decide of these, which I think is the third, and he was on that list for me.
Eric Armstead was among those considered. Evan Ingram was not by PFF. The other 2 players that were considered for this top.
Wait, hold on. I haven't.
Sorry,
I haven't
Lauren.
done mine,
Skipped
so
Lauren. Sorry, Lauren.
No, you're fine. I want to see if they match up with me because I didn't read theirs. I wanted to come up with my own. And again, we're taking your submissions on the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosure, 641-1010, in the YouTube chat line in the MyBookie Digital Studio. Mine, I went through Eric Armstead for sure. I would not have put Etienne in there. Mine is Foye Oluokun because I think if you were to ask 31 of the other defensive coordinators in the league, who would you like as your middle linebacker? I think 30 out of 31 would take Foye Oluokun. He has the most tackles of any player from 2021 to 2023. We know he's led the league in tackles many seasons. His football IQ is incredible. We had him in here to start our first week of Helmets and Heels right after he signed his extension. He's so incredibly smart, and he helps players around him, and he never throws them under the bus. We know that as far as helping Devin Lloyd. For me, it was a somewhat easy of an answer. And I think Foye would be, like I said, selected by most defensive coordinators.
And he was one of the other considerations.
And that's why I wanted to go before them because I wanted to see if we lined up.
And the third one that they had and also considered was another one I had on my list, which is Tyson Campbell. And I obviously last year with injury and not quite seeing him return to the way he was, that was the only reason I didn't say that because I need to see Tyson return to former pre-injury Tyson. I think he can. Like, there's I don't have much doubt in my mind that Tyson Campbell's able to go back to kind of the high level that we were seeing him when he was talking about being one of the best corners in the league before last season started. And then even towards the beginning of the season, all these graphics were being dropped of Tyson Campbell leading in this category and all of the PFF charts that were coming out. So it makes sense that PFF had them on his list.
And this story was written by a friend of the program, Trevor Sikkema, who, of course, has his connections to Jacksonville, and I believe that he is part of that national contingent, Taylor, that continues to bang the drum, believing when healthy, Tyson Campbell is a top 10 corner in the league. But what's interesting is that his cohorts and the statisticians at PFF, they didn't even calculate all that good of a grade for Tyson for 2023. He had a 61.5 overall grade. So that means he's in the yellow as opposed to the blue, which is, of course, the blue chippers. The green, which is everybody in the 70s, which is, I guess, like a B, and this would be like a C, if you may. And so it's interesting that he has a lower grade from a season ago than compared to Ronald Darby, compared to Darnell Savage, compared to Eric Armstead, Devin Lloyd, who has, by the way, the second highest grade of the returning Jaguars from a season ago, not named Josh Allen on the defensive side of the ball. He has a higher PFF overall grade than Foye Oluokun in 2023, which I think, again, nationally, people are higher on Devin Lloyd than perhaps they are locally here. And so it was interesting that Tyson was those in consideration because by all metrics, he was not in that top 3 category a year ago.
Mm-hmm. Or that just says how not great a lot of the other players graded out in theirs towards the end of the season.
Which, by the way, they have Trayvon Walker with a 53.9
Yeah.
and the 112th ranked edge rusher. I don't know how somebody with 10 sacks and who Mike Tomlin said, like that's the guy we're most worried about.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure how he has the lowest grade here. But again, as many a coach has said, PFF should not be taken as gospel, although we do enjoy our numbers, friends.
Yeah. So any submissions on the text line or the YouTube chat line that are not anything that we've said or anyone that we've said?
Yeah, the Hillbilly says PFF sucks.
We did have, so she read the Evan Ingram one. That was so we've got an Ingram. And then someone else just agreeing, the 327 just saying he agrees on the defensive line. Beyond stoked to see Walker and Smith line up next to each other with Armstead and Allen on the other side. So a lot of people have that mindset that if Armstead is the person that we've seen in the past and Trayvon and Allen still have even close to what they had last season, the defensive line can be fun.
We did have one vote for Christian Kirk, though. And again, to bring this conversation full circle, this is the 3 best players on the roster. And that's not to say that Christian Kirk isn't a good football player, isn't a great wide receiver. He's proven in 2 years in Jacksonville, he is wide receiver 1 at the current juncture for this franchise. I would put him right there next to Mitch Morse in terms of most important Jaguars, as we saw last year, because clearly this offense was not only built around Trevor Lawrence, but it was built around Christian Kirk. And when you lost him, all of a sudden that was the linchpin that made everything else just dissolve.
And wide receiver 1 can be a slot receiver. I think some people only think of wide receiver 1 as being the outside, super fast, go deep guy. It doesn't always have to be that guy. We've seen the Rams be able to use Cooper Kupp as wide receiver 1, and he's a slot receiver. So it can be Christian Kirk is wide receiver 1, just for people who don't think that and they thought that's why the Jaguars absolutely had to get Brian Thomas Jr. They want more speed, certainly on the outside. But it still may be that Christian Kirk, if he stays healthy, has the most receptions of anyone on the team.
It's interesting, Lauren, because I honestly didn't fully in-depth go through this. I kind of just browsed because same as you, I wanted to have my own mindset when I was coming in here.
Original thoughts.
So the beginning of this, we were like, most teams will probably have a quarterback. Already, 4 of the first 8 don't have their quarterback in the top. So
Are they all
well, it's
younger?
also alphabetical order, so it's the Atlanta Falcons.
Well, no. The Falcons.
They do have Kirk.
They do. Carolina Panthers. Theirs is Derek Brown, J.C. Horn, Jadeveon Clowney. The Bears is Jalen Johnson, DJ Moore, Montez
hold on,
Sweat.
sorry. Jadeveon Clowney
Is
is
their
one of the
third
best players on a team.
That's where the Panthers organization is.
I mean, I watched him play college football 10 years ago.
And side note, they're also considered as only one guy, and it's their guard, Robert Hunt.
Wow. I will say, if you are a team on this list that your quarterback is not one of your best 3 players, you're not winning the Super Bowl.
Well, so the Bears are not, but theirs are Jalen Johnson, who's probably one of the best corners in the league, DJ Moore, who's one of the best wide receivers in the league, and Montez Sweat, who was one of the best edges in the league last season.
And it's a rookie quarterback.
It's Caleb, so they don't know yet.
To me,
and
you
Caleb was
can't
also
put-
considered, even though he's never played. He hasn't played a game yet.
You can't put the rookie quarterbacks on best players
It is hard
for most teams.
So the Browns, theirs is not, which to
good.
my acknowledgement, the last few months of us picking everything, I don't trust him. But theirs is Zadarius Smith, Myles Garrett, and I always forget how to say this, Jeremiah
Owusu-Koramoah.
Yeah. And then obviously the Cowboys, I'm just scrolling real quick to see. Denver Broncos, which I think all of us would agree. Theirs is not. It's Surtain, Quinn, Mirnez, and Cortland Sutton. Lions, Jared Goff is not. Amon-Ra,
that's wrong.
Aiden, and Penei Sewell.
Why is that wrong?
I mean, I understand those guys are good, but as far as the best player on your team, Jared Goff
but all
is
3
one
of
the
those
3
guys got
are
Pro
the best.
Bowl, All Pro votes.
Yeah. Amon-Ra, a top 5 receiver. Aiden Hutchinson. I don't know. To me,
I would take
guess,
him out. I'd put Goff in.
that one's hard for me because I think Jared Goff, he's been great, but he's a very system type quarterback, and so maybe they don't love that, but they put Kirk Cousins for Falcons.
That's what I'm saying.
And then, so the Packers have it. Stroud's on here.
Of course he is.
It's the Colts do not. So Michael Pittman, DeForest Buckner, and Quentin Nelson are their 3.
Again, 2 out of the 3 multiple All-Pro votes.
Yeah.
Or All-Pro nods, I should say.
Yeah, and a quarterback that they haven't seen enough from.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you're a Colts fan and Anthony Richardson next offseason is not one of the best 3
That may
players
be
on
a
the team,
problem.
then your team is not going in the right direction. That's for sure. All right, we've got Andy Staples' top 25 post-transfer portal rankings. Where does FSU fall? We will tell you that next on 1010XL on 82.5 FM.
Hello, you're on the air.
There's more to 1010XL than radio.
1010XL is multimedia.
All communication lines are clear.
Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Find 1010XL on your social channels.
At Honda, we appreciate all the comparisons to other vehicles. And no matter how many times they compare their vehicles to a Honda, only a Honda is a Honda. Remember, value, quality, safety, there is no substitute. Visit your local Honda dealer now and experience the difference.
Mia here for Window Gang. It's spring and time to give your home or business a refresh. Window Gang's exterior cleaning services will remove stubborn stains, restore windows to a crystal clear shine, and get your gutters flowing again. Not to mention, Window Gang's gentle cleaning service is perfect to clean pollen off of screen enclosures, solar panels, and pool decks. I've seen the difference firsthand. Window Gang's been out to my house. Call 262-7300 for a free estimate. That's Window Gang at 262-7300.
Your cooling system isn't working. Maybe somebody showed up with a portable electronic device. Then they discussed with you what your options are. Maybe they gave you an estimate that seems like an awful lot of money. What's the smart thing to do? When the situation merits a second opinion, get a Mike Merritt opinion. Yes, the Mike Merritt Comfort Team shows up with hand tools. We've never been able to fix an air conditioning problem with a tablet. Mike Merritt has been the trusted name for more than 30 years because there's never any hocus pocus. The Merritt team will walk you through the diagnostic steps up close and personal and show you exactly what you need. And the Mike Merritt price is likely to be far less because there's never an overtime charge, and the Merritt team doesn't work on commission. So remember, when it comes to the health of your cooling system, a second opinion can only help, and a Mike Merritt opinion can save you money. Florida license CACO 50384.
Let's fire up the flavor and ignite those appetites. Let's slow down and smell the barbecue. Because all your favorites are smoked for hours and ready for eating when you are. From our famous ribs to slow smoked pork. Enjoy some perfection by the plateful, safely in our dining room or in the comfort of your home. With curbside pickup, drive-through, and delivery. Sonny's Barbecue, local pitmasters since '68.
All right, guys, be a true grill master with the Sausage Dudes sausage and upgrade that cookout. The Sausage Dudes are guys from Jacksonville who use their family recipes to make better sausage with the best cuts of pork, carefully sourced spices, and natural casings. And the Sausage Dudes are mission-minded, supporting the Boys and Girls Club of Northeast Florida. Try all 4 flavors because your cookout deserves better. Now available at all Publix stores in the frozen meat section. Head to Publix today and get your hands on the Sausage Dudes sausage.
I insist on complete honesty.
You can chime in anytime on the 1010XL text line.
Installed by Lifetime Flooring.
If you have something to say to me, I wish you would just say it.
Share your opinion.
Are you nuts? What?
641-1010.
It's crazy. Hey, I'm not going to pretend I know the specific problems you might be facing when it comes to the prospect of selling your home. Maybe you need more space for your office or a growing family. Perhaps you're worried about selling for less money with a low-ball, out-of-state, instant offer. It's a tougher market. It means it's crucial to hire the right agents to sell your home and maximize your price, and that's why I'm recommending Chad and Sandy Newman, chadandsandy.com. They have the plan and experience to get your home sold fast and get it sold for maximum cash. In fact, Chad and Sandy guarantee your home sold at an agreed-upon price and deadline, or they will buy it. Can you have any more comfort and security than that? Take Tanya in Palencia. I needed to sell my condo fast. I bought a new construction home thinking I had plenty of time to sell. But I listed with another realtor and I got no showings and no offers. I ended up paying 2 mortgages. I then hired Chad and Sandy. I got offers in days and closed in under 30. Go to chadandsandy.com and take advantage of chadandsandy.com.
Hey, David here with Royal Pest Services. Men, are you struggling in the bedroom? Do spiders and roaches have you scared? Visit RoyalPestServices.com and let us help you get that man card back. Guaranteed results on our first visit.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle, unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. And right now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. With ZipRecruiter, one click sends your job to hundreds of top job sites. But more than that, ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies the candidates with the skills you need, sends you a list of great matches to review, then actively invites them to apply for your job. And the results speak for themselves. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's right, the first day. Now you can focus on your business and let ZipRecruiter do the work finding the best people for you. See for yourself. Experience the ease, efficiency, and power of ZipRecruiter for free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
David Lane here again for Southeast Orthopedic Specialists. After several surgeries for age-old issues, mainly my back and shoulders, there's no doubt that Southeast Orthopedic Specialist is my sustaining resource for living pain-free. Take it from me, and I'm being really honest here, there's no better orthopedic facility here in Jacksonville.
Relieve pain and get back to life. SOS. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
This is Helmets and Heels.
Kept classy by First Coast Lighting and Fans. Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor.
On 1010XL.
Mia O'Brien, Taylor Dahl, RJ Saunders, I am Lauren Brooks with you on this Thursday afternoon as we talk some college football. All right, so Andy Staples analyzed college football teams post-transfer portal, and I will say spring transfer portal not nearly as exciting as the winter transfer portal, but either way.
It's still churning, though, Lauren.
It sure is. He analyzed it all. Andy Staples does a great job from On 3. We'll hopefully get him on here in the next week or two. He has Ohio State 1. I think most people, as a consensus, would have Ohio State number 1, not because of the quarterback necessarily, but more because of the additions that they made in the transfer portal after the season ended last year. And so I'm not surprised. They did get Will Howard from Kansas State, so they do have a decent quarterback. But we'll see. Certainly not a C.J. Stroud is what I would say. But we'll see about them going forward. Georgia number 2. I don't think we need to spend much time on Georgia. Everybody knows Carson
We know
Beck.
what Kirby does.
Yep, we know
Trevor Etienne,
the 5 stars that roll through there, and Trevor Etienne. And they certainly did have a lot of players to have to add back onto because they lost him in the draft. But still,
their offense will be interesting. No Brock or Ladd McConkey. But it seems like their guys, the Dominic Lovett and Dylan Bell, they're confident are just going to come in, slide in, which I feel like Alabama just kind of does.
And they went out, even after some of those younger tight ends, when Brock was hurt, really stepped up in those, he was out 5 weeks, I believe it was, with the tightrope surgery.
I feel like it was less than that.
Yeah, it may have been like a month, but I don't. The tightrope thing, it's like so weird. Like he looks like it's
they
over.
Were at first it
ended.
seemed like season. They made it seem like it was like his whole
and
season, and then he came back like I thought it was like 3 weeks later.
Yeah, put him in the Gumby category. Not the first or the last mention of Gumby in this program today. But they go out and they get a Stanford transfer in Benjamin Urosek, and so a position that yes, you needed to fortify it because you lost a first round top, however you want to look at Brock Bowers. Is he top 15, top 20 talent, a top 10 talent for some?
I would say top 10.
Yeah, I mean, you needed to go out, you needed to fortify that room, but you did have some young guys that showed you something last year. And so, again,
they had Oscar Delp a season ago that played pretty well. And again, it all comes down to the system, too, and the quarterback. Number 3, Alabama. I don't think there's much surprise there, even though they do have a new head coach in Kalen DeBoer versus Nick Saban, but they're still going to be loaded with talent because of everything that Saban had always brought in. Number 4, Oregon.
Real quick,
Yeah,
next time we have Andy on, I'm going to need to ask him. He's including Caden Proctor in this transfer portal ranking because Caden Proctor
back from Iowa,
but he left for 2 minutes. Like he literally left for 2 months.
That's
and
I
came
laughed
right
at
back.
the way he worded it. It just said back from Iowa was huge. I was like he was barely gone.
He was there for literally 2 months. Like he spent the worst 2 months of the year you could spend in the Midwest.
Hence
back up
why
there.
he
was
left
like,
right
never
away.
mind. And then said,
Correct.
just kidding, I'm back.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oregon number 4, they've got Dylan Gabriel, who originally started at UCF, then went to Oklahoma. So no surprise, I think, to most people that Oregon's among the top teams. Same with Texas. Of course, Texas has a returning head coach in Steve Sarkisian, returning quarterback. There's not a lot of those throughout the country that finish the season in the top 25. And, of course, Quinn Ewers with backup Arch Manning. So that's Texas. Michigan, 6th. That, to me, is going to be a fascinating story now that Harbaugh's gone, what they can do. But they also lost their quarterback. They also lost a ton of talent overall. They were, I think, second. They had the second most players ever after Georgia from a couple of seasons ago.
They're talking a lot about how this is the year, like Ohio State cannot lose to Michigan
Correct.
again this year.
And like we said, Ohio State, most people have them 1 or 2 in the country. Some people still are going to put Georgia ahead of Ohio State. I understand that. But I would say that, yeah, if Ohio State doesn't beat Michigan this year, Ryan Day 100% is fired, which is crazy because he has such a good record. No
but
chance
because
he's
of
not
that,
fired.
for sure.
Can we go back to the Will Howard conversation, though? Because, look, I understand he will be leaps and bounds over what they had at the quarterback position a year ago. But I also can't come away from it and say how much better than Kyle McCord is he really? Like, yes, I think he's a good quarterback, but do I think he's C.J. Stroud? Do I think he's Justin Fields? No. I don't. And so the fact that, again, it's kind of like, sorry, Taylor, I'm going to say it. It's kind of like Riley Leonard, but with even less of a resume coming in. I mean, and that's not to say that he wasn't a good quarterback at Kansas State. That's not to say he didn't take him to a Big 12 championship game 2 years ago. But it's just fascinating that we're like, oh, they got Will Howard. Now, therefore, they're
contending right
they're
away.
Contending
no
right away. I would say they're contending because of all the guys who did not opt into the NFL draft comparatively to the guys they brought in through the portal.
Yes.
Yeah, I think they got such big names in the portal outside of course, Will Howard, like Quinshon Judkins
out
from
of Ole Miss.
Ole Miss, right. And so they expect their team to be good around the quarterback and then build through him.
Well, we also thought that last year with the wide receivers they had.
We certainly did. And so that's the knock. But McCord's stats from a season ago were better than Will Howard's, which is
correct.
interesting.
Which
So,
I also think my stats were better than the current Syracuse quarterback as well. But, it's nothing personal there, buddy boy.
And number 7, we finally get to the local team, FSU. DJ Uyunglele, which, by the way, if you can't say his last name, just say DJU.
Yeah.
Don't butcher his last name. I've heard that butchered several times. DJ Uyunglele will be the starting quarterback. Malik Benson's the transfer from Alabama running back. They've got some weapons, I think, offensively and defensively, also in the transfer portal, also from Alabama.
Yeah, they brought 5 in from Alabama.
Right, but I think the question is, if DJ Uyunglele isn't good, what happens to this FSU team?
Yeah,
well, here's the good news. If you're a Knoll fan, you play in the ACC. And I've heard more than one person, Jeff Prosser went on a rant about it a few weeks ago. When you look at their schedule, if they don't start out 5-0, like, sure, SMU could be tricky. And sorry, I'm not as well versed in the SMU roster perhaps as I should be. And maybe there's an SMU fan out there in Healigan Nation that knows otherwise. But if you're Florida State, and even with DJ Uyunglele not performing at Jordan Travis levels, if you're not 5-0, then I would say there's other issues at hand, personally speaking.
I've seen some people think that the Boston College game is a trap game, which
Boston College, I mean, what? Because you're hosting them. You're not even going to have to go up to Chestnut Hill.
I guess just because you travel to Dublin to take on Georgia Tech, you come back, you have one of your first 3 bye weeks because they return. And remember, I remember, of course, because I was cheering very hard for the Eagles, Boston College. Last year, Boston College almost beat FSU.
Yeah, in Chestnut Hill.
Yeah, and their quarterback, Thomas Castellanos.
Shout out Ware County, baby.
Had such a good game, and they couldn't stop him from running the football. So that's where, I understand, yes, FSU is I'm sure, going to be favored in all, or if not all of their games, most of their games, and they'll be favored against Boston College. But that was a game, it was what do they call that Boston College one everyone wears? Is it the red game?
Yeah, it's the red bandana game.
Red bandana game. Yeah, it was that game for them that weekend. So they're extra motivated for that because it represents one of the players that they had that went on to fight for our country. Or he was a first responder.
Yeah, he was a first responder.
And he lost his life trying to save people.
Yeah. Here's the schedule, by the way.
That's like fighting for the country.
Yeah, exactly. And he went back in and he rescued multiple people. So, yes, he did defend our country in a former fashion. Here's that 5-0 start I was referring to, just for context, if you're not familiar. So that's Georgia Tech in Dublin, Taylor. That's home against Boston College, which you have a bye week. You have 3 bye weeks this year, so you do have a week off. And it's your first home game. Home against Memphis. Home against Cal. First time that Cal is going to have to make that trek across from sea to shining sea for a conference game. And then at SMU before you host. Yes, you host Clemson. You don't even have to go to Death Valley on October the 5th.
Yeah. I think for me, when you're looking at Florida State's, this is the big test for me to see where Mike Norvell and this organization is going, because they've lost, lost, you can say, but 10 players got drafted in the draft this year. But the teams like Georgia and Alabama do that every year. So when you are tested to this, where you're like, okay, you lose Jordan Travis and you lose Jared Verse and you lose Keon Coleman and you're losing all of these guys, how quickly is Norvell able to use the portal and some of these guys that they were able to develop the last couple seasons and make this team good again? And with that, the list you just named of what their schedule looks like this year, it looks like it's a pretty simple way to kind of prove, but also keep your name still relevant, where people are like, okay, it's okay. You can lose 10 guys. You can have 25 guys go to the combine and you can still restack and refuel.
Right, because as long as you win, as long as Florida State, and I know there are Noles fans out there that believe that this team can win 11 to 12 games. In my opinion, as long as you win somewhere between 8 and 10, actually 9 and 10, that keeps you in the conversation, number one. It may not result in a playoff berth just because of how the committee values the ACC and the level of competition. But at the very least, it says Mike Norvell reloaded again.
Yeah.
And I think that is really important. I also think that the fact that his first real recruiting class, I don't want to say real because he's obviously had 4 recruiting classes before, but this is the first high school recruiting class that he's bringing in that has watched the building, the momentum that Florida State has been able, right.
Now.
And so you bring in Luke Cromanhook, who, of course, we're a little biased because he works with Denny. He's out of Savannah. Great quarterback, 4-star recruit. And while most people around the program don't expect him to start because DJ Uiagalelei is going to be the starter this year, it's not like the cupboard is bare. It's not like you're having to go out and Band-Aid after Band-Aid find your quarterback, Band-Aid after Band-Aid find your next elite pass rusher, akin to what you were doing 2 years ago. You now have that depth behind them. That is to say that, yes, this year you may be piecemealing it together a little bit, and every year you're going to add elite talent through the portal, but it's not going to be the nucleus of the roster moving forward. Unless you're Dabo. Well said, Taylor.
And to Lauren's point, how important is this for DJU to be successful? How quickly last year when Jordan Travis went out, were they in the rankings dropping? Okay, never mind, you're not even in the playoff anymore. So he has to be at least Jordan Travis's level, or I think a lot of people are going to automatically start knocking them for some other things.
And he won't be. I can tell you that right now. Jordan Travis is a way better quarterback than DJ
It's fun. So I saved this from the other day from the text line. This was, I think, on Monday, but I saved it because we kept being like, we'll get to FSU, I promise. And so today we're finally at FSU. But the finger guy.
Yeah, finger guy.
Will cut off a finger guy.
Which, by the way, he's officially labeled in the text line as finger guy. He's worried that Rick Ballew's going to, take that the wrong way when he texts into the night.
I did. Maybe we should tell Ballew.
Yeah.
Because he is a Knowles. He is a Knoll.
He will cut off a finger if the Jaguars win the Super Bowl. Continue.
Yes. So he said, and he goes, my way too early Knowles predictions, just so you know. Headlines week 4. And he said, DJU proving he was a real deal. And then another one said, Mike Norvell fine-tuned DJ into a first-round potential draft pick.
And look, if that's the case, then yes, they will have double-digit wins if he's really good. I've watched him play a lot, and certainly when he was at Clemson, more even than last season, but I just don't see that they're getting the quarterback that they need in order to win the ACC. And that's what, if you're FSU, you've now arrived. Your expectations are to win the ACC. Your expectations are to make the college football playoff. And, of course, this upcoming year is going to be the trickiest, and as far as figuring out the committee and what they're going to do if someone doesn't win their conference and how they're going to award the rankings and all that. But I don't see Knowles fans being nearly as happy at the end of this year, the regular season, I should say, because they were 12-0 at that point in time, as they were. I don't think they're going to be as happy as they were a year ago because I think they are going to stumble along the way because I don't think he's as good of a quarterback. Whereas Miami and Cam Ward, I think they got an excellent quarterback. And we'll see, though, if Mario Cristobal has built the team around Cam Ward and if he can make in-game coaching decisions that are better than what he made a season ago.
But even Cam Ward, again, let's go back to the Will Howard conversation, has looked good at times on a team that was good, wasn't a playoff contender, was a good team at Wazoo, was a good team at Incarnate Word. He's had perhaps more of a meteoric rise than any quarterback we've seen through the transfer portal over the last 4 years because he's literally a product of the transfer portal. He's transferred now 1, 2 times and almost flirted with going into the NFL draft there for a second. But I say, we know who DJU is. We say we know who Will Howard is. We say we know who Cam Ward is. But I'm genuinely intrigued to see if we really do know. Just because he was able to do what he did out at Wazoo, is he going to be given that flexibility at Miami? I think he is. I think he's going to be afforded that opportunity, but also what's the system around him?
Yep, and that's what's going to be so fun because most people know Florida takes on Miami in week 1.
Yeah.
So right off the rip, August 31st, that'll be a battle in Gainesville.
Miami 13th on this list, by the way.
Okay, yeah, good to know.
And Notre Dame was 8th. Don't worry, Taylor.
Go Irish.
Yeah, I stopped
Ole Miss
at FSU.
9th, though?
Yeah, I mean, do you want them to be higher because of the acquisitions they've made?
Yeah, just because Ole Miss was out here mining the portal. Like, I mean, if nothing else, like, I'm not saying that it's quantity over quality, but, like, Lane's got to deserve a medal or something for that.
Like Andy Staples says, I don't have them higher because he needs to see them beat an elite team. And I think that at the end of the day, that's the bottom line for them. All right, Mia's going to talk hockey when we return. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010XL on 82.5 FM.
Home of the Jaguars fan.
To see the stadium packed tonight, it was awesome. One of the best game environments I've been in.
This is 1010XL.
Imagine driving a late model Corvette, BMW, Mercedes, Lexus, Honda, Chevy, Ford, and more, all at a fraction of the original sticker price. Visit Vaughn Motor Group's indoor showroom and browse a great selection of dream cars that are inspected with warranties. Before you make your next auto purchase, check out Vaughn Motor Group on San Jose Boulevard or at vaughnmotorgroup.com for a complete inventory listing. If you can dream it, you can drive it at Vaughn Motor Group.
Forget your typical spring cleaning this year. For only $525, my friends at Duck Duck Rooter will pump out your septic tank, clean your outlet filter, and they'll even send a plumber over to your home and provide drain cleaning to your main sewer line. It's just $525 to keep your septic alive. Call now to get all the details and to schedule service before this promotion ends. 904-862-6769.
I'm Clayton Bromberg, the president of Underwoods. From now until May 28th, we're holding our big diamond sale, and now's the best time to buy a quality diamond of a carat or more. Here are a few reasons. First, there's severe upward pressure on rough diamonds, with 4 price increases already this year. Most of this has yet to hit the polished market, so they're diamonds for sale at the old prices. Next, our diamond cutters asked us to house their inventories of existing big diamonds so we could sell them here prior to them being offered to the jewelry trade in Las Vegas. This allows us the ability to sell from their vast stock at brokerage prices you have to see to believe. All of these diamonds are graded for cut, color, and clarity with independent laboratory grading reports. Now, along with this vast collection of big diamonds, we put all of our own meticulously selected loose diamonds and engagement-style rings on sale at prices from 3% to 25% off. We also take trade-ins, but remember, this sale ends May 28th at Underwood San Marco, Avondale, and the shops of Ponte Vedra.
Navy Mutual was created by service members for service members, so we know what it means to serve. Our policies have no active duty service restrictions, so you can rest assured that you're covered no matter your duty station, home or abroad. To go even further, we promise that premiums will not be higher for those who serve in dangerous environments, including aviation, diving, or on deployments. Let us help you protect those you love the most. Learn more at NavyMutual.org.
Get grilling this Memorial Day weekend with Southern Steer. Buy a combo pack and snag 1 pound of ground beef and 1 pound of sausage for free. Specials listed online run this week from Wednesday to Monday.
For tasty tips and juicy breasts, choose Southern Steer Butcher.
This date in sports history is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On May 23rd, 2021, Phil Mickelson becomes the oldest major championship winner in golf history after his win at Kiowa Island, marking his 6th major championship win.
In sports, we love to see just who the top dog is. Even better news now, Underdog Fantasy is back. Perhaps it's you. They're back with Champions. Champions is a player versus player fantasy game where you have the opportunity to win up to 100 times in one night by beating out the pack. And you do it real simple. Real simple. Higher or lower. It's all you got to do. There's a statistical projection. You either go higher or you go lower. You add up your picks and you count your cash. It can be as simple as coin flip, higher or lower, or you can use all the resources they have on a terrific app. I got on the app this week, played around with it, learned it inside and out. Yeah, so my contests haven't got so great yet, but hey, that's why there's more season. So, discover what Underdog Champions is all about and go right now to your app store and download the Underdog Fantasy app today. Use promo code PROSSER and you'll get your player special plus a deposit offer. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code PROSSER.
Coverage and analysis of the 2024 off-season workouts on 1010XL is brought to you by Duck Duck Rooter, plumbing, septic, and air conditioning, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Prosser here. As you may or may not know by now, I did the research and decided to go with Jags concrete coatings for my garage floor. OMG, as the kids would say. I can't begin to tell you how good it looks, how happy we are. We brag on it anytime someone walks in the garage. They had the job finished in 1 day with a lifetime warranty. That's right. As the certified Pintech dealer for North Florida, the only company offering pure polyurea, I can't wait to do my patio deck next. Call 862-2000. That's the number, 862-2000, or jacksconcretecoatings.com.
I'm the guy that never gives 5 stars because I never believe that anything is perfect. But I would give them 20 stars if I could.
Ernest Stellar Review belongs to QC Kinetics, the nation's leader in regenerative treatments. They came through when he badly needed relief for his aching knees, and doctors had told him that surgery was the only option.
What they're doing is cutting edge, and it really helps. And I'm a tough sell.
QC Kinetics is led by National Medical Director Dr. Mitchell Scheinkup, a pioneer in this field. With 20 years of clinical work, tons of research, teaching, publishing in non-surgical natural pain treatments. These are the medical pros to trust.
I'm living my life basically pain-free from what I was dealing with, so I'm a happy camper today, no doubt about it.
QC Kinetics. Call today to see if you're a candidate.
Call QC Kinetics, 904-274-5522. That's 904-274-5522. 904-274-5522.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Helmets and Heels is switched on by
First Coast Lighting and Fans.
Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor on 1010XL.
Before the puck drops and we hit this week's MyBookie midweek picks, an update to our Helmets and Heels question of the day, inspired by Trevor Sikkema and Pro Football Focus's story from earlier this week. After Trevor Lawrence and Josh Allen, who is the third best player on the Jaguars? Trevor Lawrence, Josh Allen, Travis Etienne were the 3 that Trevor Sikkema and Pro Football Focus listed. So far, with almost 150 votes cast on X, which of course you can get in on that poll by visiting at 1010XL. Foye Oluokun with 39.4% of the votes. Travis Etienne, 33.8% of the votes. Eric Armstead, 19.7%. Other 7%. Seen a couple replies for Evan Ingram. You can also vote on that poll by visiting us live at the MyBookie Digital Studio. Yes, the rumors are true. You can vote in polls during our live stream, so make sure you also cast your vote there as well.
I do think Eric Armstead is being hurt a little bit, Taylor, because he hasn't played here yet.
Jags,
so
yeah.
I think some people are like, well, I didn't watch him with the 49ers, so I'm only going to focus on guys that I have seen. And But I do think when all is said and done, and this has a whole day, so we can give the final results during tomorrow's show.
Well, Foye also just has like a deep love by people here, understandably so. He's
and
fantastic.
I think Etienne and Foye will end up being neck and neck when all is said and done tomorrow. All right, let's talk that hockey.
Do that hockey.
Now, Mia's midday MyBookie picks. Experience the Vegas thrill from the comfort of your phone anytime, anywhere, only with MyBookie.
That's mybookie.ag for the latest in sportsbook betting as well as live casino action. Yes, you can play roulette from the comfort of your home, and yes, you can even do it without wearing pants. I'm not kidding. That's what the ad says. All right, let's do that hockey. In the NHL, the Florida Panthers took Game 1 at the Garden, not that Garden, the Garden, the Mecca, over the New York Rangers last night, which, full disclosure, ladies, we tried to get these MyBookie picks out on social last night. We kept having some technical issues, and I was very upset because at one point earlier this week, that spread between the Panthers and the Rangers was all over the place. Mm-hmm. At one point, the Panthers plus 1.5, and I was picking the Panthers, and unfortunately, let's just say some technical difficulties got in the way, and I was like, man, I had an opportunity to help y'all make some money, but alas, for Game 2 tomorrow night, the Florida Panthers are now favored a 1.5 goal spread over the New York Rangers, the host at MSG. I like the Panthers again. I think that they will pick up a second game in the series. It's going to make it tough for the Rangers to try to steal one down here in South FLA. But, hey, listen, I think that one way or another, it will be a great storyline coming out of the Eastern Conference Finals because you'll either have a Florida Panthers team that, for lack of a better term, has been building forever, has had success in recent years, but not broken through and made that Stanley Cup Finals. I can go back to when I covered the NHL draft back in 2013. I mean, no offense, but the Panthers were kind of like the Jags back in 2020. They had like 12 draft picks across 7 rounds, and you're just like, oh my God, like every other pick is a Panthers pick. Like, what are we doing here?
It's really been fun to watch them, honestly. Like, the team-wise, but also development of the organization, because they even went through all the stuff with Coach Q having to get fired because of all the stuff from the Blackhawks, and they just kind of kept going, like lugged along, which a lot of times I would set some teams back.
Yeah, and Matthew Tkachuk, 16th postseason goal last night. There's a fun stat, though. I believe it's like 9 of those 16 have come in game ones or something like that.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I saw it on SVP last night. I thought that was pretty fascinating. The Western Conference Finals and the Stanley Cup playoffs get going this evening. The home team, the Dallas Stars, 1.5-point favorites at home. I do like the Dallas Stars in this one as well. I believe I was going to say the plague, not the plague. The drought
Canadian
of
drought.
a Canadian team.
30 years.
I'm not wishing a plague upon you, my Canadians. The drought continues of a Canadian team not winning the Stanley Cup continues.
Yeah, it's a long over 30 years now for them.
Yeah, and as far as the over-unders are concerned, look, I wouldn't even mess with them. I think we saw some of the highest scoring outputs in the first round, especially when I was out in Denver, and the Avalanche were an avalanche of goal scoring, a 2-0 score last night, and I think we've seen a lot of third period late goals, obviously, whether it's power play, empty net. I think that, unfortunately, it's getting to that time of the year where it's 1-2 score games in the Stanley Cup playoffs. And so I wouldn't touch those totals, but I wouldn't be afraid to play the spreads. I also wouldn't be afraid if you want to get a little risky, and maybe this is just the NBA talking to me with the NBA playoffs as they're going on right now. I wouldn't be afraid of plus 107 on the money line for the Edmonton Oilers tonight. And
It's been tough for Denver. They lost the Avalanche
out
of the playoffs, and then the Nuggets,
and also the Rockies, Lauren.
And
then they have the
but they know
Broncos.
the Rockies.
Did they get over the 10-win plateau yet?
I think so.
I think they're over it, but I felt really bad for a while there. To your point, like looking at the standings in Major League Baseball,
just sitting there at
and you
10.
can see they're at 16.
Yeah,
Round of applause for the Rockies, RJ. The Rockies are now at 16 wins, 32 losses. Not awful.
It's a gorgeous ballpark. Coors Field is absolutely fantastic. I highly recommend it. I do not recommend getting seats high up, though, Taylor, because it seems like they call Mile High, obviously, where the Broncos play, but to me, Coors Field felt like Mile High. So I recommend staying in those lower seats. All right, we've got some NBA/WNBA crossover when we return. That's right. LeBron and Charles Barkley are both fired up about the same subject. We will fill you in next on Helmets and Heels on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
It's tough stuff. And when you lose, it all comes down on you.
1010XL.
When you put it all together and you win, it's the greatest feeling in the world. It's like winning the Super Bowl.
Always in pursuit of greatness. Now you can watch 1010XL shows all day on X, Facebook, and YouTube. Brought to you by MyBookie. Experience Vegas from the comfort of your phone anytime, anywhere. Sign up today. Use promo code 1010XL.
Mia here. The NBA playoffs are heating up, and it's the perfect time to elevate your game with MyBookie. With MyBookie, you can bet from anywhere, anytime, so you never miss a shot to cash in on a play. You can even live stream and bet on the games right from the sportsbook, giving you everything you'll need to decide, cash out or let it ride. MyBookie really makes it easy to get paid with tons of boosted props and slam dunk parlays. And new boosts are now posted on the daily. It's more than just a sportsbook. Buzzer beaters, underdog upsets, and a community to share in all of the sweats. Give yourself a head start today and play with house money using promo code 1010XL when you make your first deposit. That's promo code 1010XL to claim a limited time bonus when you sign up and make your first deposit. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere, only with MyBookie.
Hey Jacksonville, I'm sure by now you've seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We are an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We are committed to customer service, reliability, and have unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today. GFL, green for life.
If you're a business owner and want to learn about federal, state, or local government contracts, plan to attend a free online webinar May 28th. The Florida Apex Accelerator, in partnership with UNF, provides expert guidance and consultations at no cost. The Apex Accelerator program can make selling to the government less complicated. Attend a free coffee and contracting webinar May 28th. Register at unf.edu/SBDC. Then select Training and Event tab.
The flagship station of the Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
If you've played sports or still lead an active life, chances are joint pain is nothing new. This is Dr. George Barry of Barry Orthopedics, and we like to be your option when it comes to taking care of your body and getting back in the game. From shoulders to elbows to hip and knee pain, Barry Orthopedics can diagnose and treat a variety of injuries that are causing you pain. We are Barry Orthopedics and online at barryorthopedics.com. With more than 30 years of experience, our team is here to care for your entire family.
Find out more at barryorthopedics.com. That's BAHRI orthopedics.com.
The Sign and Drive Green Tag event continues, offering 0% for 84 months with no money down on a John Deere compact utility tractor with loader. Limited time offer. Visit your local Ag Pro today. Offer ends May 31st, 2024. Some restrictions apply. See dealer for details.
Now at Hodges Mazda, take advantage of 0% APR on our versatile lineup of 2024 Mazda crossover SUVs. Lauren Brooks here. Choose from the off-road ready Mazda CX-50, the stylish 2024 Mazda CX-30, or the tailored for you Mazda CX-5. With 0% APR for 36 months, you choose the perfect CUV to drive home. Our professional non-commissioned sales team always puts your best interests first. Plus, every vehicle purchase comes with 2 years free maintenance. Visit Hodges Mazda today or shop online at hodgesmazda.com. See dealer for details. Terms and fees for qualified applicants expires June 3rd, 2024.
Smooth sailing and a smooth taste of Vida de Luis, an all-natural tequila made with volcanic spring water and aerated to provide a smoother finish. Go to VidaDeLuis.com and set a course for smooth living today.
This is Molly McDonald with your 1010XL Southeast Orthopedic Specialist Local Sports Update, brought to you by Chad and Sandy Real Estate. Swinging into state finals for high school baseball, St. John's Country Day School captures the 2A state title with a walk-off in the 8th inning when Connor Osteen dashed home from third base, making this their first state title in Clay County. The Shrimp are on the road in Georgia for a 6-game series against the Gwinnett Stripers. The Stripers shut out the Jumbo Shrimp to take the first 2 games of the series. The two will play Game 3 tonight at 7:05. The chase to the A-Sun Baseball Championship continues for the JU Dolphins after the Dolphins defeated Eastern Kentucky Tuesday night 6-2. The Dolphins will take on the Central Arkansas Bears this afternoon with first pitch at 2:30. This will be the 4th time the Dolphins and Bears match up this season, with the Dolphins taking the last series. The winner of this game will play again tomorrow at 7 p.m. It's 86 degrees at 1 o'clock. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air Conditioning. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Light up your lunch with Helmets and Heels.
Presented by First Coast Lighting and Fans.
On 1010XL.
Me, O'Brien, Taylor Dahl, RJ Saunders, I am Lauren Brooks with you. We've got 1 hour to go before we turn it over to XL Primetime. And tomorrow, we will be at Southern Steer Butcher over in Ortega. So come and hang out with us from noon to 2 p.m. there. All right, let's get
There'll
it
be a lot of
to
Memorial Day specials there, by the way, too,
Absolutely.
Lauren. So if you're looking for something to throw on the bobby this weekend, come hang out with us. And I believe they will also have some of their award-winning special or samples and so much more.
I think the three of us collectively always expect some sort of samples when it comes to Southern Steer Butcher. No, we love them, and we will be there tomorrow. All right, so Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever fell to 0-5 last night. Mia, I think the larger conversation we've had a bunch of times about the WNBA, but I think there are people that are truly rooting for Caitlin Clark that have never paid attention to the WNBA before, and that's a great thing. And then there are people in the WNBA who are rooting against her.
Yeah, and to be clear, what's been fascinating is, and I love to use the term revisionist history. I'm not going to call it revisionist history. We're going to call it backtracking. The amount of backtracking that I have seen from veteran players across the WNBA who now are saying, like, no, this isn't us trying to call her out, like this, that, and the other. And perhaps it's because, as we are going to hear from some other people who don't necessarily specialize in the WNBA, i.e. Mr. Charles Barkley, are pointing out at a surface level, it sure as heck looks like all these opportunities that you're getting, i.e. having chartered planes for the first time in the WNBA's history throughout the course of the regular and postseason, is because of one player. And look, I understand that let's take it to whatever line of work you may be in, right? Like, let's say we hire no, I don't want to take RJ's job. Whose job are we going to take here at 1010? We're going to hire
Just a host.
Somebody's going to host from 12 to 2, right? Okay. And it's another woman. And we're bringing her in from New York, and she's a big deal. And because we're getting her, now we are all getting bonuses. The three of us are getting bonuses. Are we happy about this? Or do we feel threatened that because this person who is playing, quote unquote, a separate game or a separate lane, but because of their mere presence, we are being elevated even if they're going to get more play than us? How does that make you feel?
Yeah, I think that conversation's a tough one because I think obviously most people, they're not mad the WNBA is getting more attention. I think it's more so maybe some egos are hurt a little bit because a lot of these people have put in years of time and effort and they feel like they play at a high level for that organization too. They just haven't been noticed in the way that Caitlin was noticed. And so more so, same if we're talking about someone coming in here, it'd be kind of like, man, like I've been here 9 years and like this person comes over and all of a sudden it's like all about that person. And so I think it's more so that like it hurts egos a little bit. And because of people react to their egos being hurt in different ways.
I think it all depends on the incoming person's personality. And if that person is, look at me, narcissist, and yeah, I'm the best who ever lived, then I don't care that I'm getting extra money. I'm already annoyed that this person has entered the picture. But if this person has a great personality and has just been working super hard and is welcoming and a team player, even if, it's an individual thing, then you're like, heck yeah, this person is elevating everyone and we're getting more money. That's awesome. And so I am, of course, going to say that I'm putting Caitlin Clark in the latter category.
Right.
Because I don't think her personality has done anything to rub people wrong.
And also, she's on a team that's 0-5.
Yeah,
I don't think that's affecting the Las Vegas Aces in a negative way. It's helping them. And again, by more eyeballs on the W, that creates more opportunities for sponsorships and in turn helps their bottom line. And so I'm not going to sit here and say you should be thanking Caitlin Clark because someone who's been in Caitlin Clark's shoes kind of did that. Here's LeBron James.
The one thing that I love that she's bringing to her sport, more people want to watch. More people want to tune in. Don't get it twisted. Don't get it up. Caitlin Clark is the reason why a lot of great things is going to happen for the WNBA. But for her individually, I don't think she should get involved on nothing that's being said. Just go have fun, enjoy, but I'm rooting for Caitlin because I've been in that seat before. I've walked that road before. I hope she kills. I hope Aaliyah Boston does amazing. I hope they do great. I'm just kind of in this mode right now because I'm getting the same, thing from watching my son, who's a 19-year-old, kind of getting a lot of animosity and hatred towards him when he's just a kid trying to live out his dream. There's a very small number of men and women that actually get to live out their dream of playing a professional sport. And we have grown-ass men and women out here doing whatever they can to try to make sure that does not happen. That is the weirdest thing in the world, but it is what it is, and I'm glad that Caitlin has a great head on her shoulders.
I do want to be clear. Bronny James, Caitlin Clark.
A little different.
But I respect LeBron from the haters' perspective of people piling on, the casual fan saying, oh, Bronny James is only getting this, that, and the other because of who his dad is. And Caitlin Clark's only getting this, that, and the other because insert reason here, which we won't go into because I already see some of them on the text line. For me, it just is so fascinating because LeBron said and hinted at, like, he kind of felt this way a little bit back in 2004 when he entered the NBA, that because he was the king, the chosen one.
And he skipped college.
Right, and he skipped college.
Which that annoyed people, too.
Right, and the fact that he was able to have an impact, even if it was akin to Caitlin Clark on a losing team his first year, it was, well, all these eyes are on him and he's not even on a good team, and what does that mean? Again, I was in elementary school, so I can't tell you what the rest of the league was saying. And also, Twitter and Facebook and Instagram didn't exist in 2004, so we also didn't get that platform for others to voice their displeasure and or to be on camera or to be quoted and it to be mass proliferated throughout the country and the world for you to hear their take. But, I mean, this is the closest as we're going to get in terms of someone who's been in this situation, quote unquote, has gotten the heat from veterans and from people across the country, even if she just wants to focus on playing.
Yeah, look, unfortunately, it's something that Caitlin Clark fans, the league in general is just going to have to get used to, because that's just the world we live in, where the greats, there's always going to be we talk about LeBron, speaking of LeBron, and there's this whole section of people who say he's king and he's GOAT and he's the best, human on the entire earth. And then there's full-on LeBron haters. I am in the more category on that side because of obviously the Michael Jordan conversations, but as the things he does for his community and stuff, you can't argue with, but a lot of people won't look at that. And so when you go back to any of the people we talk about being the best at what they've done, and you go to Tom Brady and there's all the people that are like, yeah, he won this many Super Bowls, but he deflated the balls here and they had the Spygate here, and Eli, the Giants game, or they lost to the Giants, all of these different reasons of why he didn't win all of these different Super Bowls. There's a thing going viral right now on Twitter of Patrick Mahomes showing up to camp, and they're like, Patrick Mahomes got fat this offseason, and now what's going to happen? And there's people going crazy over that.
And then, of course, my favorite thing was right after that picture, someone quote tweeted it and literally had the picture of him.
I put it. That's what I did.
Okay,
I posted it.
You did it.
Yeah.
Okay. And it was him in the locker room post winning the Super Bowl. And he's not like the most fit guy.
He's got dad bod, and
right.
he is vocal about it.
His wife, on the other hand, does not have a mom bod.
Definitely not.
She just posed for Sports Illustrated, the swimsuit edition.
Yes.
And she looks great. But yeah, I think that's what people. Here's the best way I can phrase it. Successful people will always have haters. That's the easiest way I can phrase it. If you find that people dislike you, you've reached a level where you have success, and that's great. You just have to tune those people out.
We have haters. It's a good thing.
Say.
Steve says it to our boss, Steve Griffin says it to us all the time. You shouldn't be loved by everyone, because if you are, you're not doing this thing right.
Yeah. And that's one of the first things Rick Blue ever told me when I started at 1010 almost 9 years ago now. We were having a conversation, and this is pre anything. Like, I was just this little front desk girl that answered phones and filed part-time. And as things kind of started shifting in the other direction, when I started doing sports updates and having some of these other opportunities and would get some mean comments on Twitter or Facebook or whatever it may be, he was always like, good. Like, the moment, like, if you're getting haters, that means you're doing something right. Because number one, people are listening at that point. And he was like, and that means you're saying something good enough to where they want to disagree with it. And I was like, okay. So I always try to keep that in my mind, because we do get mean comments on the text line and on YouTube and all of this stuff. And to me, I'm always like, okay, that means I'm saying something worth listening to, and maybe they don't agree on it, and maybe some people go a little too far with their comments, but that's just part of the world we live in when it's the way social media is now.
And that's not to say any news is good news, but
any publicity is
good publicity. Which, speaking of, before we hear from Charles Barkley, this is from ESPN Research. The Sun Fever game on Monday night hit 1.56 million viewers. That is plus 353% versus last year's ESPN WNBA game average. It peaked with 2.97 million viewers from 9 to 9:14 p.m. It is now the most viewed WNBA game in ESPN's history. This was a random Game 4 of the regular season in which Caitlin Clark and company lost, and yes, it was a last-second finish that, if Aaliyah Boston finishes the layup, maybe even more people would have been talking about this game in the aftermath of their first win. And it is now the most viewed WNBA game ever in ESPN's history.
What's crazy to me is how the women's college basketball season ends, and these ladies literally have to turn around and start prep for the WNBA season. They get drafted.
I know it's so quick.
So quickly. Like when we talk about men's college basketball, like it ended the same time as the women's in early April. And these guys have quite some time before they get drafted in the NBA. So because, of course, the seasons are so different and they want to play the WNBA opposite, pretty much the sports calendar being quieter. And it did help Monday night. There was no NBA playoff game, so certainly that does help. But it doesn't matter. It's the point of the conversation is she's drawing eyeballs. All right, Charles Barkley. I feel like we don't hear from him often enough here on Helmets and Heels. This might actually be his debut on our now everyday show, but here is Chuck.
You women out there, y'all petty, man. Hey, LeBron, you're 100% right on these girls hating on Caitlin Clark. Y'all petty, girls. I expect men to be petty because we're the most insecure group in the world.
Oh, you are.
Y'all should be thanking that girl for getting y'all ass private charters, all the money and visibility she bringing to the WNBA. Don't be petty like dudes. Listen, what she's accomplished, give her flowers. Stop being petty, all you women out there. She got y'all ass charters. She bringing all y'all this money to the table, but y'all being petty like dudes. LeBron, you 100% right. Y'all girls, stop being petty. Caitlin Clark, thank you for bringing all that money and shine to the WNBA.
Well, they're going to hate you even more now.
Hey, listen, they can't do anything to me.
They're going to hate you, though.
Hey, they can hate on me, but they better. But that mailman better be in my damn house the 1st and the 15th for another year. For another year.
That was great at the end, at least for another year, because, of course, the contract with Inside the NBA is
First to the
ending.
15th, baby.
Yeah, I will say that my favorite part about that is the fact that Charles Petty says guys are usually more petty because they're the most insecure. Like, I don't know
he's very self-deprecating.
Yeah, I don't know that most men would admit how insecure they actually are, even though if you were to get them away from, every single person and you could never actually reuse what they were going to say, then they would be like, well, yeah, ever since I was little, I've had to try and prove myself or whatever, because guys have to be tough and all that stuff. But I feel like that was just my favorite part is don't be petty like dudes. See, women get accused of being petty and catty and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I love that he actually said the guys are petty because they are. We all are.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. I joke all the time about my little bit of pettiness when it comes to mostly football situations, like Aaron Rodgers, the amount of times that I've tried to jinx them and whatever I could do. And I'm like, it's me being a little petty when me hoping he retires and I'm saying I'm going to throw a retirement party for Aaron Rodgers just so he's gone out of the league. So I definitely have those little moments. And that's why I was kind of saying earlier when it comes to we all have some sort of ego, obviously some bigger than others. And some people just know how to handle certain situations better than others. And it's whether it's the way they were brought up or, the way they were raised or the situations that kind of got them to where they are. Some people have really easy paths to where they get to go in life, and sometimes that affects the way that they see the way other people have to work or not work. And so there's so many things that go into this, but I just think at the end of the day, it's honestly good. We talk about this. She's getting attention.
We're talking about the WNBA.
Other people are talking about it. I just
want
to
say too much.
This comment on the
hey, they're talking about on the drill. Let's be 100 here. Prosser and Hicken have talked about the WNBA at least once a week for the last 3 weeks.
Yes.
That is monumental for this market. Right. That is monumental for this market. And it's not in a necessarily WNBA is bad. It's talking about the Caitlin Clark effect.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good thing that you have Jacksonville, where the nearest WNBA franchise is 5 hours away in Atlanta, and you're out here talking about the league.
Yeah. And we can connect that to other sports, and whether it's an athlete, and usually it's a player. A player comes to this team. It's a team you don't really talk about that much, or a team that struggled for a long time. They get this one big superstar name, and all of a sudden you find yourself talking about this specific team. And this goes through all of the sports. The Blackhawks have been completely irrelevant since they won the Cup in 2015. They get Connor Bedard, and all of a sudden, even though they're still playing crappy, And same to what Caitlin Clark and
the
Fever are doing. They're still talking about it because it's Connor Bedard, and he's this name that everyone's been talking about forever, coming into the NHL and being this superstar, and they're living up to that superstar level. Maybe the team around them isn't, but it takes time still. I just want to read this comment real quick because it made me laugh. But the 196 said, "Ask those haters on the text line what time their show comes on."
Well done. Real quick, one other note from ESPN research. ESPN, the networks, have already aired 3 of the top 5 WNBA games ever watched on ESPN or ABC in the last week alone. That's 3 of the top 5 all-time watch games by the Mouse. That's ESPN and ABC.
Mm-hmm.
And they were in the last week. And by the way, at least, one of them did not include the Indiana Fever.
Wow.
So
that's surprising.
Right, because it was the Sparks and the Aces. So again, look, I understand it's you probably are banging your head against the wall. Here she goes talking about Caitlin Clark again. I'm not going to go as far as Chuck and say that she's the reason they're getting the charters, because like that may be a little bit of a broad stroke there, my friend. I'm not going to say that that's the reason why, but I am going to say that you will see a trickle down, because we've already seen it in our own building. Like, because I like to talk about Caitlin Clark in the WNBA. I mean, our good friend, videographer, engineer extraordinaire John O'Leary is now obsessed with talking about Cameron Brink and watching the Los Angeles Sparks. And I think that you will start to see people, even if it's only because of their appearance or the aesthetic or how they play the game of basketball, and even if it's a player, not a team, you are starting to see the casual fan identify with certain players and teams. And that in and of itself, to have them in the lexicon of pop culture, is a massive win for the W.
Yeah, and I think bringing it to other women's sports, I mean, we've got the Olympics this summer, so the women's national team. People were hating on them when they played in the World Cup a couple summers ago because they didn't win it all. And so at least there's the conversation of people caring about it. And look, whether we're talking about Serena Williams or, the Caitlin Clark in the WNBA, the fact that women's sports are even talked about in sports talk radio outside of our show is an impressive feat. All right, Dak Prescott had an interesting comment on his contract talks. We'll get to that and more next on 1010XL on 2.5 FM.
This is Helmets and Heels.
This hour is brought to you by First Coast Honda Dealers. 1010XL takes you inside the program director's office with Dan and Jeff.
You have a problem with authority.
The Drill.
You believe that you are special.
Mornings.
But somehow the rules do not apply to you.
On 1010XL.
Obviously, you are mistaken.
Imagine waking up this time next week and being 100% debt-free from credit cards, car loans, and personal loans. Hey, Prosser here. Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit can make it happen. Homeowners are turning their home equity into cash almost instantly. With Loan Pronto's AI-based system, you can get approval in about 10 minutes with almost no documentation, no appraisal, and no hassle. You can get hundreds of thousands of dollars out of your home. Use that money to pay off all your other loans. The average homeowner saves over $850 a month doing this. Listen, your home value's way up. You can use that to wipe out all those credit cards. Get some money for a home improvement. Literally hundreds of thousands are at your fingertips, and approval is just minutes away. So call now, 904-999-1508. 904-999-1508, or go to loanpronto.com. NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, equal housing lender.
Mia here. Conference finals have arrived in the NBA playoffs, and it is the perfect time to elevate your game with MyBookie. With MyBookie, you can bet from anywhere, anytime, so you never miss a shot to cash in on a play. You can even live stream and bet on the games right from the sportsbook, giving you everything you'll need to decide. Cash out or let it ride. Game 2 of the Eastern Conference Finals this evening. The Boston Celtics 8.5-point favorites. Y'all know I was rooting for the Pacers in Game 1. Donna Murphy already called me out, though. And also, I think the Celtics learned their lesson. I do have the home team covering that 8.5-point spread this evening. I do like the Timberwolves, though, to bounce back on Friday in Game 2 of the Western Conference Finals and defeat the Dallas Mavericks. Give yourself a head start today and play with house money using promo code 1010XL when you make that first deposit. That's promo code 1010XL to claim a limited-time bonus when you sign up and make that first deposit. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere, only with MyBookie.
What makes a Honda certified pre-owned vehicle so special? 182-point inspection, 24/7 roadside assistance, first-year free oil changes, and a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty for carefree driving backed by American Honda. Visit your local Honda dealer today.
When it comes to towing products, your safety on the road is the priority at Cannons of Jacksonville. Whether it's a heavy-duty tow hitch, trailer frame, wiring, gooseneck, tow bar, or any other towing accessory, Cannons has decades of experience to ensure your towing setup is installed with precision and reliability. Visit cannonsofjacks.com to explore a range of products and schedule your installation. Cannons of Jacksonville, your trusted partner for a smoother tow.
PRP treatment is kind of the thing these days, and in many cases, it eliminates the need for surgery. This is Sheridan Tootin, and my experience with PRP from Southeast Orthopedic Specialist has been nothing short of great. I'm really feeling much better now. Ask your Southeast Orthopedic Specialist doctor about PRP treatment.
This is Dr. Kevin Murphy with Southeast Orthopedic Specialists, where athletes are treated like pros.
Relieve pain and get back to life. SOS. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Start your Sunday off with a cup of Joe and some sports medicine intel. This is Joe C. inviting you to join me and Dr. George Bari for Breaking Bones every Sunday morning at 7:30. And if you miss an episode, just look for Breaking Bones wherever you listen to podcasts.
Hi, this is Chelsea from Renewal by Anderson. Now's the time to get your custom windows and doors. Through the month of May, buy 2 windows and our patio doors and get the third 60% off. Plus no money down, no payments, and no interest for 1 year. Some restrictions apply. Proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Go to rbafla.com to book your design consultation today. License number CGC 1527613.
Now those sound like some well-oiled machines. Hey, Glenn here from B&B Oil. If you have equipment that needs fuel and only want the best for your engines, we've got you covered. From fuel for boats to construction sites with large equipment, we deliver all types of fuel and lubricants. We also have tanks from 250 gallons to 2,000 gallons and larger if you need them. Give me a call and let's talk. Find us online, bb-oil.com.
Florida Home AC, the official AC partner of the Jaguars. Make them your AC partner with honest cost estimates before they start the work with no hidden fees. Call 777-4300 for Florida Home AC.
Get grilling this Memorial Day weekend with Southern Steer. How about marinated steak tips, 5 pounds or more at just $16.99 a pound? Specials listed online run this week from Wednesday to Monday.
For tasty tips and juicy breasts, choose Southern Steer Butcher.
Brackish Vodka, a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, is the smoothest local vodka you can find. Made right here in Jacksonville, Florida, 100% from corn, Brackish Vodka is the local gluten-free choice. Brackish Vodka, for those that live life slightly salty, a proud partner of the Jaguars.
Enjoy happy hour and drink Brackish Monday through Friday, 3 to 6 p.m. at Palms Fish Camp and Restaurant off of Heckscher Drive.
Tired of changing out bad sod year after year? Get it done right with Roundtree Sod. Big or small, they have it, and always supplied farm fresh. For a lush, legendary green lawn, call 7414-SOD for a free estimate. 7414-SOD.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
You're listening to Helmets and Heels.
Illuminated by
First Coast Lighting and Fans.
On 1010XL.
Taylor Dahl, Mia O'Brien, RJ Saunders, I am Lauren Brooks with you. Little Darius Rucker playing in the background. We love some Darius. All right, so Dak Prescott and the Cowboys are at least having conversations about an extension, and Dak Prescott is one of those polarizing quarterbacks in the NFL. Lots of people, I think, on other teams would love to have him right now. Some Cowboys fans love him. Some Cowboys fans think that he's the reason that they aren't winning anything. And this, of course, is a team that had Tony Romo before
I was
Dak
about
Prescott.
to say, do you think it's more of a Dallas Cowboys thing than a Dak thing?
I think it's a really nuanced question because Dak Prescott is one of the best statistical quarterbacks. But what has he done in the postseason?
Yeah.
And we used to talk about this with Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson was one of the best statistical quarterbacks running, obviously, and throwing. But he wasn't able, he was always injured, so he wasn't able to do much in the postseason. And so I think he's answered some of those questions. Dak has to get to an NFC championship game, I feel like, to answer some of those questions. But here is Dak's quote on discussing contract talks. I don't play for money. I have never cared for it, to be honest with you. Is that in any way, shape, or form accurate for an NFL quarterback who makes millions of dollars?
No, especially not. I mean, it's tough because Dak, again, wasn't a first-round pick.
Mm-hmm.
He was not a top 10 quarterback selected. He was not somebody who played in the college football playoff or a BCS national title game. He played for a Mississippi State team and Dan Mullen that, while certainly surprised from time to time, let's be real, was perennially somewhere between a 7 and a 10 win team, and was drafted by the Dallas Cowboys, not as an afterthought, but as, maybe this will work out. Let's kick the tires on this kid. And someone with that backstory has to have a chip on their shoulder. And even if money isn't the driving factor, making it to that level of success where money comes along with it has to be one of the driving motivating factors, does it not?
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, and I think that for NFL players, especially, or athletes, let's just say that, a lot of times the measurement of how a lot of people measure them and their success is money. And it's not like, he's one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the league. Oh, he's one of the highest paid wide receivers in the league. And we do that because most times you feel like they get paid because they're playing at a high enough level to get these contracts. You obviously have the outlier ones where people are like, why in the world did Daniel Jones get paid this amount? Why does Kirk Cousins have $7 billion of guaranteed money? We have all of these outliers, but most of the time when you pull up player contracts, the top 10 players in the league are somewhere in the top paid ones also. So it's a little bit, a part of this, a layer of this is the fact that the money part also is almost like an indication of how good you are in the NFL. So it has to be a little bit in your mind. And we talked about it yesterday of how, the Players Association pushes these guys of like, no, like you get money because when you get money, we all get money. And that's kind of that's what's kind of going on in the NFL. But I wouldn't be surprised if Dak is more kind of focused on like, I know my career is maybe on the way out if I don't start winning some playoff games. And so that I wouldn't be surprised if that is more in the forefront in his mind than money right now.
So I think Dak heard our conversation yesterday about Tom Brady, and there's a difference between a star and a champion.
Yeah.
And are you really about the money? I think he's just trying to show off for Tom Brady.
Here are his contract details. He's in the final year of a 4-year, $160 million deal that he signed in 2021. He has a no-trade clause in his contract, and the team cannot use the franchise tag on him next year. He is set to count, get this, $55.45 million against the cap this year if they don't get a deal done. So maybe that's also why he's saying I don't care about the money, like because he knows the Cowboys can't trade him and they're going to have to extend him if they want to keep him.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he's going to, I suppose, play under, like I said, a salary cap that's $55 million.
He also doesn't have to care about the money because that's his agent's job, and he kind of says that too. Like, my agent's responsibility is to worry about the money. I'm here to play football.
Right.
And if he's not winning games, if he's not playing his best football, he's not going to get that contract. So to him, that has to be the thing in the front of his mind. And then behind that, it's like, hey, agent, great, if you can get me a ton of money. Sorry, Dallas, that you have all of this dead cap. That's on you. But some of these, and we see guys with Tom Brady. Tom Brady is one of the rare ones that took less money all of these years. And I guess maybe the motivation behind that is Super Bowl, Super Bowl, Super Bowl, Super Bowl. So if you're winning that, it's probably a little easier. But at the end of the day, we talked how much about Tom Brady's contract, taking less money, how they could build better teams around him. But then you go back and you look at the list of most of the wide receivers during those, and it's not like they weren't having the top 5 wide receivers in the league. The whole roast was joking about how it was all white wide receiver, little white guys that were playing with Tom Brady.
Many of them converted lacrosse players that they just threw out there. I think Dak Prescott doesn't care about the money because the check is clearing and he's living a comfortable lifestyle. Ask me if he wasn't getting paid that amount of money, if he didn't invest it properly, and if he wasn't living the lifestyle he is, how he would feel about the money.
I always go back to one of my favorite moments of Dak, and this was like had to have been in one of the first few seasons, 3-4 seasons of his career. But it was during a game. They had just scored. He sits on the bench. He has his little Gatorade cup, chugs the Gatorade cup, goes to throw it in the trash. It misses. It kind of blows away. He gets up, chases the cup down, picks it up, puts it in the trash can. And I remember in that moment being like, he seems like a good dude. Most would kind of just like look at it like someone's going to grab it. I have to look at my film and whatever. Ever since that moment, I've always kind of been like, I don't think Dak's a bad guy. That's why in this scenario, I truly just think of like, yes, he's already has some money. So it's in the sense of that. I also just think in his head, there's more important things to worry about right now, like finally proving that you are a quarterback who deserves to be paid over actually getting paid, because they have people to worry about that side for them.
Anytime it's contract number 2, you also can relax a little bit.
Yeah.
Once you make it to that second contract, you know that it's going to be, if you don't already consider 4 years, $160 million to be generational wealth, second contract certainly will be.
So 982 on the text line, designed by Lifetime Enclosures, brings up an interesting point. And this contributes to my argument of the chip on Dak Prescott's shoulder. Dallas's handling of Dak should be an example to Balky and Khan on not how to handle Trevor, sign Trevor long term. So I think that what 982 is saying is that, you sign Trevor long term, and that's how you create stability.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no question of who is our quarterback and the media circus that exists outside of the walls of your facility. But I think there's also an argument to be made, and I'm not going to say it for Trevor, because I think with Trevor, he has, so long as everything goes from what, we expect it to go, again, he's in a different tier than Dak, even if Dak, statistically speaking, has consistently been in one of the top tiers among quarterbacks in the National Football League. If that's a product of his talent versus the system around him, we can debate that at another time. But the idea of if you only have 2, 3, 4-year deals and you have to keep proving yourself, is that a good thing to have? If competition breeds success, is saying to Dak Prescott, you're only our quarterback for the next 2 to 3 years, is that sustainable, or does that create even more drama and instability within your organization?
Well, you're going to be spending a lot more money doing it that way. If that is the guy that you're going to have for 2 years and then another 2 years and another 2 years, like, you are going to be spending a ton more versus locking him up like a Patrick Mahomes or a Josh Allen of these deals. Mahomes' was 10 years, which is crazy, but certainly well earned. And then Josh Allen's was 5 years. Like, that's the smarter plan if you believe that's your long-term guy. The problem with, it feels like, Jerry Jones is that he doesn't necessarily believe Dak's a long-term guy, but they structured the contract incorrectly to where he's going to count this much against the cap unless they restructure. And so, like you said, that's on you, Cowboys. All right, I have a juicy story for you ladies. I know you.
I can see you giggling on break, so I'm ready.
You may have seen this, but there's the second half of this part of the story is what made me laugh. So Antonio Brown, everyone knows who Antonio Brown is, former NFL receiver, has filed for bankruptcy. Now, I'm not laughing at that part of it. And the Times Union reported this. He owes nearly $3 million to 8 different creditors. That's a lot of money. But here's the part that made me laugh. Brown's media company confirmed the bankruptcy filing via social media earlier this week. NFL legend Antonio Brown has filed for bankruptcy today. He will be a first ballot Hall of Famer in 2027. He will be releasing new music this summer. He is also the founder of the most trusted source in all of sports. That's his network, CT ESPN. Are you kidding me? That's
CT ESPN?
Yeah, CT ESPN is his media company, and that's what it's saying. That's the most trusted source in all of sports. But the fact that they say he's a first ballot Hall of Famer in 2027, I tend to disagree. And also, he'll be releasing new music this summer, so I suppose that's what's going to end up having him have enough money to pay back his debtors. If you've played in the NFL for as many seasons as he did, and I don't know his lifetime career earnings, but I'm going to guess that's somewhere over $20 million easily, you shouldn't have to file bankruptcy, Antonio Brown. But he's made some really poor life choices along the way.
There was a lot to take in there.
That's why I was laughing.
I just sit down and listen to that.
I mean, once again, he'll be a first ballot Hall of Famer in 2027.
In what world?
Am I wrong in thinking he definitely will not be a first ballot Hall of Famer?
They wouldn't let T.O. in on the first try.
Yeah.
Like, you really think they're going to let Antonio Brown in? I just want to know what he was spending the money on. Like, we can
Who even knows?
We can workshop
with
that.
him.
Well, let's workshop
a list of things that Antonio Brown spent his career earnings on.
Yeah.
Let's see. He made more than $80 million. Like I said, I knew it would be well north of 20. I just gave a very low figure, but $80 million in his career.
Well, I could tell you this. I don't know if he knows what a Roth IRA is. And I don't know if
I'm going to guess he does not.
Yeah, I don't know if he's invested any of it.
No, because then his media company wouldn't have to come out and say, well, he's about to be making new music.
It's okay. His music will get him back out of the red. He'll be back in the green soon enough.
We shall see. All right, a local team won a state championship in baseball yesterday. We will let you hear just how it sounded. That's coming up next on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
This hour of Helmets and Heels is brought to you by First Coast Honda Dealers. Play-by-play sports just sounds better on radio. For high school, college, and pro sports play-by-play, turn on 1010XL.
Why Arlington Toyota? I'm glad you asked. Because summer starts here. That's right. It's the Summer Starts Here sales event, and Arlington has a huge selection of new vehicles in stock in one location. Every new Toyota purchase comes with Arlington's lifetime warranty as well. That's unlimited time and miles. 60-day exchange program. You heard that right. You now get 60 days to decide if you love your new purchase or just come on back within 60 days and exchange it for one that you do. Worried about financing? Don't be. Arlington is here to help with the Arlington Credit Helper. You even get a complimentary car wash with every service. So if you've ever wondered why Arlington, now you know. Huge selection, in stock, one location, Arlington's lifetime warranty, 60-day exchange program, the Arlington Credit Helper. Oh, and did I mention, Arlington has an amazing 4.7-star rating and over 19,000 Google reviews. Shop in person, 10939 Atlantic Boulevard, or online anytime at arlingtontoyota.com.
QC Kinetics provided amazing pain relief for a former professional baseball player, and you have access to the same life-changing treatments as retired pitcher Jose Alvarez.
I put a lot of stress and strain and work on my right arm, but my right elbow took most of the damage with 3 surgeries.
Arthritis developed, and the pain was unbearable.
It wasn't just pain when I was trying to play sports. It was anytime I was moving the right elbow. It was pretty excruciating at times.
That's when Jose discovered QC Kinetics and their regenerative treatments that help the body heal itself, restoring damaged tissue and providing relief with no surgery or downtime. Jose's message to the medical professionals at QC Kinetics?
My elbow is feeling outstanding. Where were you 10 years ago, for crying out loud?
QC Kinetics is right here. Call for your complimentary consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 904-274-5522. That's 904-274-5522. 904-274-5522.
Are you tired of having a plain and boring backyard? Really want to impress your family and friends this year? Then stop by Stone Core on Phillips Highway. Imagine hosting guests at your new outdoor kitchen, relaxing by your custom-built fireplace under a brand new pergola. Stone Core can also remodel your old pool deck and beautiful new pavers. Make your backyard wishes a reality. Visit Stone Core on Phillips Highway and let's get started at stonecore.co. We do outdoors better.
There's a name you can trust when it comes to servicing your AC system. Bolt City Heating and Air, a family-owned Jacksonville company focused only on the local community. And since the extreme summer temperatures are almost here, schedule your summer maintenance today with Bolt City Heating and Air. Don't be fooled by the out-of-towners, equity firms, and national corporations that use local names. Trust the AC company born in the Bolt City. That's BoltCityAC.com.
International soccer returns this summer. Don't miss your chance to see teams from the biggest league in the world in Jacksonville as they compete for the Stateside Cup. Be there when Premier League clubs Wolves and West Ham take the pitch July 27th at Everbank Stadium, home of the Jaguars. With the series trophy on the line, competition will be fierce. Tickets on sale now for as low as $35 at statesidecup.com.
He's a professor of quarterback play, and class is in session.
We want to take you into the lab so you can learn more about the science of quarterback.
Denny Thompson, Friday mornings on The Drill. Brought to you by Tyson Sound and Security and George Moore Chevrolet on 1010XL.
Find your why in your next career move at the First Coast YMCA. Everyone can get involved and make a difference in your community at the Y. And if you'd like to turn your passion into a fulfilling career, the Y is an equal opportunity employer and is now hiring youth program leaders, lifeguards, swim instructors, and more. Plus, Y staff enjoy benefits including free YMCA membership and free childcare while you work. Find your passion, find your why in a career at fcymca.org.
Hey, have you heard the amazing news from Boost Mobile? When you switch to Boost, you get 4 lines for $100, plus 4 free 5G devices, like the Samsung Galaxy A15 or the Moto G Stylus 5G. That's 4 lines for $100. Need another reason to switch? Boost offers high-speed data at low prices with no annual contracts and no credit checks. Switching is easy. Just head over to your local Boost Mobile store. New customers in select markets only. Requires port-in and ID verification. Other restrictions apply. See participating dealers for details.
Electricians, innovators, and tech enthusiasts, listen up. Miller Electric is shaping the future, and we want you to be a part of it. From healthcare and data centers, corporate offices, aviation, and industrial facilities, Miller Electric is powering the most exciting projects in Jacksonville and beyond. We offer not just a job, but a thrilling career with great pay and incredible benefits. Visit us at millercareers.com to apply. Miller Electric, where your skills meet our vision and equal opportunity employer.
Are you ready to help lock down the bank in 2024? Don't miss a single moment when quarterback Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars take on some of the biggest names in the NFL. Become a season ticket member now to get access to exclusive experiences, events, and player appearances all season long. Lock in your seats for 2024 now by going to jaguars.com/tickets or call 904-633-2000. We can't wait to see you at Everbank Stadium.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
The 3-2. Swung on and missed, but it gets away from the catcher. Here comes Osteen, and the wait is finally over. St. John's Country Day has their title. The Spartans of St. John's Country Day win their first state championship in dramatic fashion, 4-3. A game with every twist, every turn ends with one. We take another look. It got a swing and a miss, but the strikeout and the wild pitch wins the state title for St. John's Country Day. And for a program that was denied so many times, has been a state power for years, they finally have their title.
This is Helmets and Heels.
Kept classy by First Coast Lighting and Fans. Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor.
On 1010XL.
You just heard how it went down the walk-off. That was the Spartans' third straight playoff walk-off.
Wow.
Third straight. That one, of course, to win the state championship, as you just heard, 4-3 over Miami Christian. Here's who I feel for in this situation. Every parent or loved one of the St. John's Country Day team who has been watching all of these games with their, favorite son, or maybe not favorite son, but their child out there.
Maybe favorite son.
or maybe favorite son. But their nephew, they're, like I said, family, friends that are all out there watching. To win 3 straight in walk-off fashion is insane. So that was in the 8th. So it did go to extras. We talked about it yesterday during
Thankfully,
the
only
program.
1 inning of extras.
Correct. And then I also feel for the pitcher in this situation who loses the state championship and forever will have to tell people, how did you lose the state championship? It was a wild pitch. Oh my gosh, my heart broke for that 16, 17, however old that kid is.
Yeah, it's losing on PKs. It's losing on 8-meter shots. It's not the way you want to.
Yeah. But PKs, you can miss the goal or the goalie can stop it, right?
Yeah.
Like, this is just all you, unless you blame the catcher.
And I heard Dan and Jeff saying it was the catcher dropped the ball.
Okay, so
that's what I heard.
So yeah, maybe less pitcher, more catcher.
Yeah.
Then I feel for the catcher.
Yeah.
And I did watch the video. I couldn't tell whose fault it was, but shout out to Tom Lucas, the head coach of the team, and of course the team. And Mia, you'll be seeing them tonight.
Yes, excited to MC the St. John's Country Day big senior sports awards bonanza. Our good friend John Scrimolo always does it big wherever he is employed.
I love it.
He doesn't mess around with award shows. I was telling the queen of the building about the walk-up songs I had to provide, the hype videos that are being created, and she was like, this is for a school's athletics banquet, and I was like, yes, welcome to 2024. And speaking of John, he gave us a little bit of a behind-the-scenes story with regards to Connor Osteen, who was the senior who scored that game-winning run. Yeah. So he's a lifer. Shout out to Connor. Been at St. John's Country Day since he was in kindergarten. He's actually not a starter. He had 1 start, and it was just on his senior night. But he primarily has been a pinch runner, and lo and behold, he's the one who scores that game-winning run to give
That's
them their
awesome.
first state title.
Again, third straight walk-off win. You
That's
never
stress.
see something like that. And yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Is for the families. Like, I have friends who have children who play sports now, and of course, it's already intense, and they're under the age of 10. And so I can only imagine when it's for the state championship or to get into the Final Four or the regionals, all things like that. Erstwhile in Jacksonville, Baker County softball is headed to the softball state championship game after dominating Plantation American Heritage. Get this, 10-0 in 6 innings yesterday. Baker County will face Eustis tonight for the championship game, 7 o'clock.
Take that, our conversation regarding the Miami schools just dominating the rural schools. No, thank you, Baker County.
Jumbo Shrimp lost last night 3-0 at Gwinnett. They are back at it tonight at 7:05, but of course that's still at Gwinnett. The Jumbo Shrimp return home to Jacksonville Tuesday against Durham. As far as the ASUN baseball tournament in DeLand goes, you've heard in the updates, JU plays Central Arkansas at 2:30 today. So all the Dolphin fans, you'll be wanting to watch that game against the Bears. And then the ACC baseball tournament in Charlotte continues as FSU plays Virginia tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Ladies, I'm going to test your recall knowledge. A couple weeks ago, I said I have a new favorite I have a new favorite Florida athlete. Do you remember
the sprinter? Or not sprinter. She ran the 5,000 meter.
Yes, very
Florida.
well done.
I think
Very
Taylor
well
may have been
done.
on vacation.
I don't think I was
that
here
day.
for that.
Okay.
I've not talked about sprinters from
or
Florida.
long distance runners.
Yeah.
Okay, so her name is Parker Valby.
Okay.
And she runs the 5,000 meter pretty much faster than anyone, certainly in the state of Florida or as far as the SEC is concerned, because she just won the SEC championship with the 5,000 meters. Well, she is going to run the 5,000 meters on Saturday at 8:10 p.m. But here's the interesting part, because we are now into the NCAA East preliminaries in Kentucky. So there's a West preliminaries, an East preliminaries, and then everyone who qualifies makes it to Eugene, Oregon, where we know the NCAA track and field championship is held every year. Well, here's the twist. She's also going to run the 10,000 meters. That will be tonight, is the semifinal for that. She's only run it once in her life, and she had a time that was... It beat the collegiate record that had existed for 14 years, and it was the first time she ever ran it. So,
and then when does she have to run the 5?
So tonight is the 10,000 meter at 6:10 p.m., and you can watch all this on their stream on ESPN Plus. And then Saturday night is the 5,000 meter, 8:10 p.m. Saturday night.
Yeah, now 48 hours. That's not enough time for me. For me to recover. For
One
her,
year's not enough time.
Good, yeah, good for her. I wouldn't be able to recover, even if it's a shorter distance on Saturday.
And I did see UNF men's golf had the practice round today, so that means also Florida and Florida State would be practicing today in Carlsbad for the actual state championships that begin tomorrow.
Before we say goodbye for the day, I have an important update on one of our favorite cult heroes on the short iteration, or short, I should say, history of this iteration of Helmets and Heels. The one and only DJ Burns of North Carolina State.
DJ.
Acclaim.
Whether or not he's going to play football?
He says he's playing professional basketball, Lauren.
Okay.
He has landed a workout with the Lakers. According to Shams, who, of course, next to Woj, one of the most prolific basketball newsbreakers in the game, DJ Burns has, quote, lost 45 pounds since March Madness.
Is he on Awaken 180?
He is not on Awaken 180, and he is not on Ozempic either.
Oh, my goodness. That's wild. 45 pounds?
I need to see pictures.
I wanna see
Shams,
also.
Shams, you can't report this and then not, provide us with photos. I need to know what DJ Burns looks like down 45 pounds.
Yeah,
I know what Hacker looks like down 45 pounds.
Down 65.
65. So, hello.
Yeah.
So, now I need to see this, and also if DJ wants to continue to lose, maybe he should turn to Awaken 180 for the remainder of his his journey through weight loss.
We know it works. Once again, we will be at Southern Steer Butcher tomorrow. The address 5421 Roosevelt Boulevard. That's 5421 Roosevelt Boulevard. There will be lots of Memorial Day specials, so come and hang out with us. We'll be there, of course, from noon to 2 p.m.
Ortega. I've never actually been on site, but Heeligans,
Oh,
if
okay.
you're listening.
Taylor and I have.
Heeligans, if you're listening, from sampling Southern Steer Butcher
They were at the Guggen.
At the Guggen every
yes.
year,
Mhm.
it is quite literally a taste of heaven in your mouth. I am not exaggerating. And if you're looking to go shopping ahead of a Memorial Day weekend, and you're looking to go to don't go to the grocery store. Oh, you could go to the grocery store, but first and foremost, go to Southern Steer
the meat.
Butcher first. Go get that meat. We will meet you there.
Oh, I like it. There you have it. Last quick question. Are either of you going to get tickets for Justin Timberlake? He
I honestly
comes
would
town
love
in
to go
November.
see Justin Timberlake. I have to see what those prices
So
are
I looked
first.
already because
Okay.
I got an email that had a pre-sale code, and this is not a concert that I would necessarily go to, but if someone said, hey, will you go with me, I would go. But I saw tickets in the lower bowl for $155, and tickets in the upper bowl were, I think, $95.
That's not terrible.
So it's really nothing like
yeah.
a Taylor Swift, nothing like as recent as George
Where
Strait.
is that, the arena? Or is that
It's at the arena.
Okay.
Yep, it's at the arena.
If
So I thought
George
that was
Strait
reasonable.
taught me anything, just wait until 4 o'clock the day of, folks. Trust me.
There you have it. Once again, we will be at Southern Steer Butcher tomorrow. And again, congratulations to St. John's Country Day School, and Mia, have fun there tonight. For Taylor Dahl, for Mia O'Brien, for RJ Saunders, I'm Lauren Brooks. Don't go anywhere. XL Primetime is coming up next. These heels are made for talking. We'll talk to you tomorrow on a Feel Good Friday.
Gonna walk all over you.